They say the forest hides many secrets, some ancient, some evil, but none are more terrifying than the legend of the Goatman, a creature with glowing red eyes, horns that twist like the roots of a cursed tree, and a hunger for those who wander too close. Before you dismiss this as just another campfire tale, consider this. The Goatman isn't just a myth. People have seen it, they've heard it, and some never made it out to tell their stories. Tonight, we delve into the horrifying truth behind the Goatman. Stay with me to the end, and I'll share an encounter so chilling, it left even the skeptics questioning what's real and what's not. But first, let's start where all good nightmares begin, the history. The Goatman's origins are shrouded in mystery, but every version of the legend has one thing in common: darkness. Some trace the creature back to ancient mythology. The Greeks told stories of satyrs, mischievous half-goat, half-man beings who roam the forests, luring travelers to their doom. Could the Goatman be a modern echo of these ancient beasts? Others claim its roots lie in early American folklore, a warning whispered by settlers to keep their children close. Stories tell of a demon conjured by forbidden rituals, bound to haunt the woods and punish those who trespass. Then there's the more sinister, modern twist, the tale of a scientist named Dr. Stephen Fletcher. In the 1950s, Fletcher worked at a secret government lab in Maryland, conducting experiments on genetic hybrids. The details are scarce. Most records were destroyed, but rumors suggest he attempted to merge human DNA with that of a goat. What he created was no mere animal. The creature was intelligent, angry, and impossibly strong. One night it escaped, leaving behind a trail of destruction and a body count. Now it roams the forests, a predator with a taste for vengeance. But is it protecting its territory, or is it hunting? Eyewitness descriptions of the Goatman vary slightly, but the common elements are enough to make your skin crawl. Its horns, twisted and jagged, seem almost too large for its head. Eyes that glow red, burning through the night like embers from hell itself. A body covered in matted, coarse hair, standing nearly 8 feet tall. The hooves, cloven and cracked, leave deep imprints in the ground, accompanied by a foul, sulfuric stench. Perhaps the most unsettling detail, however, is its voice. Survivors describe hearing their own names whispered from the darkness, mimicked in a distorted husky tone. The Goatman doesn't just hunt, it plays with its prey. One of the most infamous Goatman hotspots is Old Alton Bridge in Denton, Texas. Built in the late 1800s, this iron truss bridge was once a simple route for crossing Hickory Creek. Today, it's a hot spot for paranormal investigators, thrill seekers, and unfortunately, those who never return. The Goatman's Bridge isn't just a location, it's a trap. Legend says if you stand on the bridge at night and knock 3 times, you're inviting the Goatman to appear. Visitors report a chilling silence that descends as soon as they step onto the bridge. No crickets, no rustling leaves, just an unnatural stillness. Some feel a hand on their shoulder when no one is there. Others hear heavy breathing or the sound of hooves scraping against the metal. Warning, even if you escape the bridge unscathed, the Goatman is said to follow you home. In Bowie, Maryland, the Goatman is more than a legend. It's a local terror. Farmers claim to find their livestock mutilated, with wounds too precise for any known predator. Hikers report finding massive hoof prints deep in the woods, far from any trails. The Goatman here seems to take on a different persona, less a guardian of the woods and more an apex predator. It doesn't just watch, it hunts. Eyewitness accounts, the forgotten ritual, a deeper mystery. For decades, the Goatman has been a symbol of fear, but few know of the whispered accounts that suggest something even darker, a ritual that binds the Goatman to its domain. This tale isn't widely shared, but those who dig deep enough into the legend find the same chilling thread. The Goatman isn't just a creature, it's a curse. According to an old tattered journal discovered in the 1980s by a local historian near Old Alton Bridge, the Goatman may have been summoned. The journal belonged to a man named Jeremiah Holt, a self-proclaimed occultist who lived in the 19th century. His writings detailed strange experiments, invocations, and his obsession with channeling power from the primordial spirits of the forest. One entry stands out. I have called upon the Horned One, the Keeper of Shadows. Tonight, under the blood moon, I offer my soul to bind its strength to this land. Those who trespass with ill intent shall face the wrath of my guardian. May the forest forever echo with its cry. The journal abruptly ends after that entry, but locals who knew of Holt claimed he disappeared shortly afterward. His cabin, hidden deep in the woods, burned to the ground in what was ruled an accidental fire. Some say the Goatman appeared shortly after his death, as if it had taken his place as the forest protector, or its curse. Fast forward to 2015, when a group of amateur paranormal investigators ventured into the woods near Goatman's Bridge. Their goal was to find evidence of the creature, but what they uncovered was far stranger. Deep in the forest, they stumbled upon a clearing unlike anything they had seen before. Trees in the area were scorched, their bark etched with strange symbols. A ring of stones formed a crude altar in the center, charred with remnants of what appeared to be burnt animal bones. One investigator, Amanda, recognized the symbols from an occult research book she'd read. They were sigils, ancient markings believed to summon or trap spirits. As they examined the clearing, the air grew heavy. The group described hearing faint whispers in a language they didn't recognize, almost as if the forest itself were alive. One of them, a skeptic named Ryan, laughed nervously and muttered, "Just wind." But Amanda wasn't convinced. She urged the group to leave, but before they could pack their gear, they heard it. A scream, piercing, husky, and inhuman. The investigators ran, leaving behind their equipment. Days later, when they returned with local authorities, the clearing was gone. The scorched trees, the symbols, the stones, all of it had vanished. By the way, if you haven't subscribed to Tales of Chill yet, now's the perfect time. We bring you spine-chilling stories like this one every week. Don't miss out. Hit that subscribe button and join our growing community of fearless listeners. The warning of the red moon. Adding to the mystery is the strange connection between Goatman's sightings and the lunar cycle. Eyewitness reports spike during red moons, rare lunar eclipses when the moon takes on an eerie crimson hue. One hunter, Kyle, shared his experience from the night of a red moon in 2019. He'd been tracking deer in the woods near Bowie, Maryland, when he felt the hairs on the back of his neck stand up. A low growl echoed through the trees, followed by the unmistakable sound of hooves. Kyle turned and froze. There, partially hidden behind a tree, were two glowing red eyes. But this time, the Goatman didn't charge. Instead, it simply stared, its gaze unrelenting. Kyle fled, abandoning his gear. When he returned the next morning, his rifle was shattered and his hunting knife was embedded in a nearby tree, driven so deep it was impossible to remove. Some believe the Goatman becomes more powerful during a red moon, its connection to the forest and its curse intensified. Whether this is true or mere coincidence, no one has been brave enough to test the theory. The disappearance of Claire Evans. Perhaps the most haunting modern case tied to the Goatman is the disappearance of Claire Evans, a journalist who sought to uncover the truth. In 2021, Claire began investigating the Goatman for a podcast series. She interviewed locals, visited the bridge, and even hiked into the forest alone, despite warnings from those she spoke to. Her final recording was uploaded 2 days before she vanished. In it, Claire sounds calm, even excited, as she describes her plan to camp near the rumored site of Jeremiah Holt's cabin. But toward the end of the recording, there's a shift. Claire's voice grows quieter, almost a whisper, as she describes hearing strange noises, knocking sounds, faint footsteps, and finally, heavy breathing. The recording ends abruptly. Claire's body was never found. However, her camera was recovered near the bridge. The last photo on it is chilling, a blurry figure with what appear to be horns standing just beyond the tree line. The camper's nightmare. In 2003, 3 college students decided to spend a weekend camping near Goatman's Bridge. They were armed with flashlights, sleeping bags, and the arrogance of youth, laughing at the legend as they set up camp. That night, the laughter stopped. One of them, Sarah, was awakened by a strange sound, a low, husky growl. She peeked out of the tent and froze. In the flickering light of their dying campfire stood a massive figure. It didn't move, it just stared. The others woke to her muffled screams as she tried to warn them. By the time they scrambled out of the tent, the figure was gone, but their relief was short-lived. Around their campsite were hoof prints, massive, deep, and fresh. The missing hiker. In 2011, a seasoned hiker named Rick ventured into the forests of Bowie alone. He was known for his survival skills and experience, so when he didn't return after 3 days, his friends grew worried. A search party found Rick's campsite, but not Rick. His gear was untouched, his food uneaten. The only clue, a series of hoof prints leading away from the site and disappearing into the dense underbrush. To this day, Rick's fate remains unknown. The chilling encounter. Dylan's story. Dylan, a skeptic, thought he could prove the Goatman was nothing more than a story. Armed with a GoPro and a flashlight, he ventured to Goatman's Bridge at midnight. What he captured still haunts him. The footage begins with Dylan laughing, cracking jokes about the legend. But as the night deepened, his tone shifted. He started hearing sounds, faint whispers, the crunch of leaves, the unmistakable clack of hooves on wood. Then came the knock. "Hello?" Dylan called out, his voice trembling. The camera caught a shadow moving at the edge of the bridge, too large to be human. And then the final frame, 2 glowing red eyes lunging toward the lens. The footage ends abruptly. Dylan survived, but he refuses to talk about what happened next. Now that you've heard the stories, ask yourself this. Do you believe? Would you dare to visit Goatman's Bridge or step into the forest it haunts? Or do you think these tales are just a fiction of fear and folklore? But before you decide, remember this. The Goatman doesn't need your belief to exist. And if you're ever alone in the woods, hearing your name whispered from the shadows, don't answer. Don't look back. Run. And for those of you wondering if the Goatman is real or just a legend, we'll leave that up to you. After all, every story has a kernel of truth hidden within it, or so they say. Have you ever encountered something you couldn't explain? Do you believe in the Goatman? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let's unravel this mystery together. And if you haven't subscribed to Tales of Chill yet, hit that button now. We have more terrifying tales coming your way. Until next time, stay curious and stay safe.